The desert was quiet. No birds, no cars, no people. Just wind blowing over sand and dry rocks. Suddenly, the sky broke. A flash of light, bright and hot, cut across the clouds. It moved fast like a falling star, but bigger, much bigger. It roared like thunder and then crashed behind a line of red hills. The earth shook. David King was standing on his porch when it happened. He lived alone, far from the city, in an old cabin that used to belong to his grandfather. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just watched the fireball disappear behind the hills. Then he whispered to himself, "That wasn't a meteor." 20 minutes later, David stood where the object had fallen. The fire was already dying. Smoke rose into the sky, black and thick. Pieces of strange metal lay scattered on the ground, twisted, glowing, and humming softly. Something had crashed here. Something not made by humans. And in the center of it all was a body. It was breathing. It wasn't human. The alien was tall, with gray skin that shimmered in the sunlight. It had no nose, just two slits. Its eyes were large and black, like a deep well you could fall into. Its arms were long fingers, thin and sharp. It was alive, but hurt. One leg was broken. Its chest rose and fell with pain. David didn't move. He just stared. His heart beat fast, but his face was calm. Then the alien looked at him. Their eyes locked. David felt something like electricity crawling through his brain. A strange voice echoed inside his head. It wasn't speaking English, but somehow he understood. "You are different." The alien raised its hand and touched its own temple. David couldn't look away. His legs felt heavy. His vision blurred. His mind started to spin. Then the alien did something he wasn't ready for. It entered his mind. The alien was a mind reader. It didn't need machines or tools. It didn't ask for permission. It just reached into David's brain like opening a book. For the alien, this was easy. It had done it to hundreds of species before: animals, humans, machines. It could see memories, fears, secrets. It could control people if it wanted. But this time, something was wrong. Very wrong. As soon as it entered David's mind, the alien froze. Inside David's mind, it saw darkness. Not the kind of darkness you get from fear. This was different. This was something ancient, cold, deep. It felt like falling into a black ocean with no bottom. The alien tried to pull back, but it was too late. It saw images, terrible ones, burning planets, screaming aliens, machines cutting through stars, battles where entire galaxies were destroyed. And at the center of it all was David. Not the man who stood in front of him, but another version, a warrior, a killer, a god of destruction. This is not possible, the alien thought. It went deeper, trying to understand. Then it saw a door. A big metal door, locked tight inside David's mind. It had no handle, no keyhole. Just a symbol glowing red, a circle inside a triangle. The alien reached out to touch the door. The door opened. And the alien screamed. David watched in silence as the alien fell to the ground, shaking. It covered its head with its hands and screamed like it was being burned alive. The sound wasn't loud, but it went deep into your bones. It felt wrong, like a sound from another world. Then the alien stopped moving. It fainted. David knelt beside it. He didn't look afraid. He just looked curious. He whispered, "What did you see?" The alien didn't answer. It just twitched once and whispered in a weak voice, "You're not human." 10 minutes later, black cars arrived. No sirens, no lights. Men in black suits jumped out, guns ready, faces serious. They moved quickly, like they had done this before. A woman stepped out last. Her name was Agent Naya. She wore glasses and a calm face. She looked at the alien, then at David. "You called this in?" she asked. David nodded. "It was dying. I didn't want it to die alone." "Kind of you," she said flatly. Two men carried the alien into a black box that looked like a coffin. Others took photos, collected metal parts, scanned the area with small devices. Naya didn't stop looking at David. "You touched it?" she asked. David shrugged. "No choice. It touched me first." She paused, then asked slowly, "Did it say anything?" David lied. "No." She stared at him a little longer, then turned away. "Take him in," she said to the other agents. Inside the underground base, the alien was placed in a cold room with glass walls. It was awake now, shivering, whispering to itself in its strange language. One of the scientists tried to approach, but the alien jumped back and screamed. It said one thing over and over: "Keep him away. Keep the human away." Naya watched from behind the glass. She turned to her assistant. "Run a scan on the alien's brain." Something happened. Meanwhile, David sat in a clean white room. No windows. Just a table and two chairs he stared at. The wall. Calm. Still. Naya entered with a folder in her hand. She sat down. "Do you know why you're here, Mr. King?" "No," he said simply. "The alien is afraid of you," she said. "That's unusual. They don't fear humans. They think we're simple, primitive." David said nothing. She leaned closer. "But it screamed when it touched your mind." "Why?" David looked at her with a strange calm in his eyes. "Maybe it saw something it wasn't ready for," he said. "Like what?" David didn't answer. Naya stood up. "We'll find out. One way or another." That night, in a dark room filled with monitors, the alien sat alone, breathing heavily. Suddenly, its eyes widened. It looked at the corner of the room. Something. Was there? Not a person, not a thing. A presence. The alien screamed again and curled into a ball. It whispered in its own language, "He is awake. The sleeper is waking." Back in the desert, far away from the base, a device buried under the sand blinked for the first time in centuries. A red light, then a second, then a soft sound, click. The device had received a signal from David's mind. In the next room, David closed his eyes. He saw stars. He saw ships. He saw himself standing in fire, holding a sword made of light. He didn't know what it meant, but somewhere deep inside him, something was waking up, and it was very, very old. Inside the underground government facility, silence was thick. Room 7 was cold and brightly lit. The alien sat in the corner, arms wrapped around its knees, rocking back and forth. It hadn't eaten, hadn't spoken. It just whispered the same sentence over and over: "Keep him away. Keep the human away." Dr. Miles stood outside the glass wall. He had worked with aliens for 17 years, but he had never seen one like this. Terrified, he turned to Agent Naya. "We've had prisoners cry, beg, lie. But this ... this one is truly scared. Of him. You're sure it wasn't injured during the crash?" Naya asked. Miles shook his head. "Physical injuries, yes, but this is something else. Psychological trauma, something it saw inside David's mind." Naya narrowed her eyes. "Then we need to find out what." In another room, David sat in a chair, staring at the wall. He had not asked for food, water, or a lawyer. He looked calm, even bored. Agent Naya entered with a tablet. She sat across from him. "Do you know what you are?" David raised an eyebrow. "Human, I think." "The alien doesn't agree," she said, placing the tablet on the table. It showed a video of the alien screaming. "It went inside your mind and almost broke. What did it see?" David looked at the screen, then slowly said, "Maybe it saw something ... hidden, even from me." "Hidden?" she repeated. David nodded. "I don't remember anything strange about my life. But since the crash, I've had visions of war, of space, of ... other me." Naya watched him carefully. "You could be lying," she said. "I could," David said. "But what would be the point?" She didn't answer. She stood up and said, Tomorrow, we run a scan on your brain. David smiled slightly. Be careful. You might see something you can't forget. The next day, inside Lab 9, David was placed inside a machine. Just relax, said Dr. Miles, placing a cap of sensors on David's head. The scan began. Waves of color moved across the screen. At first, everything looked normal. Brain activity, heart rate, all average. Then ... The screen glitche. The machine beeped. The power flickered. And then the screen turned black. A message appeared. Access denied level 9. Clearance required. Dr. Miles stepped back. What the hell? The machine restarted itself without command. Lights flickered across the walls. The scanner began running again, but no one was touching it. David opened his eyes. I told you, ... Be careful. In room 7, the alien stood suddenly. Its black eyes were wide. It looked toward the ceiling, as if sensing something above. It whispered in fear. The lock ... is breaking. Then it collapsed. Later that night, Naya reviewed David's scan with the lead tech. There's a locked section in his brain, the tech explained. It's sealed, encrypted like military firewalls. But it's biological. You're saying part of his brain is hiding itself? Yes, the tech said. It's not natural. I've never seen anything like it. Naya stared at the screen. What happens if it opens? No idea, the tech replied. But I don't think we're ready. Far away, above the earth, something moved. A small ship, silent, black and fast, entered orbit. Inside it, a group of aliens. Watch the planet below. One of them, with red markings on its head, spoke. He has awakened. The sleeper mind is stirring. We must destroy him before it's too late. They turned toward Earth. Target, David King. At 3 a.m., David woke up in his cell. His head was buzzing. His skin felt hot. He heard whispers, not voices. In the room, but inside his mind. He stood up, walked to the mirror, and stared into his own eyes. Then he saw it. A flicker. Just for a second. His eyes glowed blue. He touched the mirror, and for a moment, his reflection smiled back, even though he wasn't smiling. He stepped back, heart pounding. What ... am I? He whispered ... back in the alien cell. It woke with a gasp. It turned to the glass and spoke English clearly for the first time. Let me speak to him, alone. David was taken to the alien cell under heavy guard. The glass wall lifted, and David stepped inside. The alien stood across from him, no longer afraid, but still cautious. You survived. The alien said. You look better, David replied. I have seen 1,000 minds, the alien said, but never one like yours. David folded his arms. So what did you see that scared you? The alien hesitated. A door. Behind it, something ancient. Something ... designed. Designed? David asked. The alien nodded. You were created. Not born. David took a breath. By whom? He asked. The alien shook its head. Not us, not your people. Something older, a forgotten war. You are a weapon, but you do not know it yet. David looked down at his hands. I don't want to be a weapon. The alien tilted its head. It may not matter what you want. An alarm rang. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Naya's voice came through the intercom. Unidentified object approaching. All staff to secure areas. David turned to the alien. They've come for me? The alien didn't answer, but David already knew the truth. Outside the facility, a black ship landed silently. 3 tall alien soldiers stepped out. Their armor shimmered. Their weapons glowed. They moved fast, breaking through doors, disabling cameras, knocking out guards with sound pulses. Inside the control room, Naya shouted, Seal the lab. Protect the subject. But it was too late. One of the aliens reached David's room. David stood calmly. The alien aimed its weapon at him. The lights exploded. A wave of invisible energy pushed the alien back. The walls cracked. David's eyes glowed again, brighter this time. The alien screamed. Not in pain. In fear. It dropped its weapon and ran. Naya arrived minutes later. The alien soldiers were gone. David stood in the middle of the wreckage, untouched. Naya stared at him. What did you do? She asked. David looked at his hands again. They were shaking. I didn't mean to. It just happened. The alien from earlier stepped beside him. It is starting, it said. The lock inside you is opening. You cannot stop it. Naya looked from David to the alien. You're saying he's going to become what? A weapon, the alien replied. One the galaxy once feared. In the orbit above Earth, the black alien ship retreated. Inside, one of the soldiers spoke. He's stronger than we thought. We must warn the council. If he fully wakes up, the war will begin again. David sat alone in his room. Later that night, he looked at the ceiling. He didn't feel human anymore, but he didn't feel alien either. He felt like something in between. Something dangerous. And deep in his mind, the door he had once seen was now open a little wider. David King sat on the steel bench in his room. The walls were white, the lights too bright. His fingers twitched, his heart raced, and inside his mind, the door was still opening. He hadn't slept in 2 nights. Every time he closed his eyes, the visions returned. War, burning stars, alien ships screaming through space, and a shadowy version of himself standing tall in a black suit of armor, glowing blue like fire. He didn't know if these were memories or something worse. In the control room, Agent Naya watched David on the screen. His heart rate was rising. His brain activity was off the charts. Her team of scientists was confused, even scared. Dr. Miles came in holding a tablet. We matched one of the symbols from David's mental scan, he said. To what? Naya asked. Miles placed the tablet on the table. A photo showed a strange ancient carving, a circle inside a triangle, the same symbol found inside David's mind. We found it in deep space, Miles explained. On a dead planet near the Orion cluster. No life, no atmosphere. But this symbol was carved into a black stone, 5 meters tall. Who made it? She asked. No one knows, Miles said. But alien records call it the mark of the Mindbreaker. A weapon, human-shaped, lost in the old war. Naya leaned forward. Are you saying David is that weapon? Or a copy, Miles replied. Either way, something dangerous. Far above Earth, inside a golden space station, the Galactic Council was in session. 13 alien species sat around a round table, insectoids, reptilians, machines, and others beyond human understanding. One of them, a tall blue creature with silver veins, spoke. The Mindbreaker has awakened. Another gasped. We ended that project centuries ago. A third slammed its claw on the table. Earth must be destroyed before he remembers who he is. But a calm voice spoke from the shadows. It belonged to an old creature with no mouth, only a glowing orb face. No, we must study him, if he truly is the one. He may help us again. Or destroy us all. Back on Earth, the alien prisoner, named Veda, finally agreed to tell David the truth. They sat across from each other in a secure room. David asked, What am I? Veda took a deep breath. You are not just human. You are what humans were meant to become. David frowned. What do you mean? Long ago, Veda explained, humans were not weak. They were gods, scientists, warriors. Your kind nearly conquered the galaxy, not with ships, but with the mind. Your minds could bend reality, break time, speak across stars. David was silent, Veda continued. But the others, the council, feared your power. They attacked. They erased your past, hid your weapons, and sealed your minds. So Earth forgot, David said. Yes, Veda nodded. But not all were erased. You are one of the last. A sleeper. David looked down at his hands, and I'm waking up. That night, David had another vision. He stood on a battlefield. Alien machines burned around him. A giant beast with glowing eyes roared in the sky. Planets exploded in the distance. A massive figure landed in front of him, 12 feet tall. Armor made of light. A living god from another galaxy. You are nothing, the god said. David lifted his hand. Energy surged. I am human. Then with a scream, David blasted the god into dust. David woke up sweating. In the command center, alarms rang again. Naya rushed in. What now? A soldier pointed at the screen. Something's moving on the moon, deep under the surface. The satellite feed showed a pulse, a wave of blue light coming from a hidden chamber under the moon's crust. Dr. Miles looked shocked. That's not natural. Naya stared at the screen. Could it be connected to him? Yes, said a voice behind them. It was David. He stood in the doorway, guards around him, but no one dared to stop him. He walked forward, looking at the moon image. I've been there before, he said quietly. In my dreams, a secret. Launch was prepared. David, Naya, and Veda boarded a small black ship hidden under the base, one that could fly to the moon in minutes. The journey was silent. David stared out the window. Veda meditated. Naya watched them both. The ship landed on a flat, empty surface. No stars. No sound. Then the ground shifted. A circular door opened in the moon's floor, revealing stairs leading down. David said, "Nothing." He walked in first. Deep underground, they found a chamber of black stone. In the center, a throne. It looked like it had been built for him. David stepped forward. Symbols lit up under his feet. Veda whispered, "This is it. The control room of the Mindbreaker project. They built this for your kind." David touched the throne. Images flashed in his mind. Earth from above, stars being shaped by thought, galaxies bending to the will of one man. He sat down. The entire chamber lit up. A soft voice echoed through the room. Identity confirmed. Prototype X09, awakened. Accessing locked memories. David closed his eyes. His brain burned. He remembered. The past. A long time ago. David, or someone like him, stood in this same room. He commanded fleets without speaking. He defeated alien gods. He stopped black holes. He ended wars. Then, when peace was achieved, he asked to sleep, to forget, to become human again. And Earth was chosen as the hiding place. Now, the war had returned. And so had he. David opened his eyes. "I remember," he whispered. Naya stared. "Remember what?" David stood. "I killed a god." Suddenly, sirens blared. The Galactic Council had sent another team, stronger, armed and dangerous. They landed outside the moon base. Alien soldiers marched in. David looked at Naya and Veda. "Get behind me." The aliens stormed the room. "Mindbreaker, you must be destroyed." David lifted one hand. The air bent. The ground cracked. The aliens froze, mid-step, trapped in place by invisible force. David walked forward, calm. "I don't want war," he said. "Then surrender." One alien shouted, "I already did." David said, "A long time ago, but now." He raised his other hand. "I protect what's mine." A wave of energy blasted from him, pure blue light, knocking every alien back. No one died, but they all ran. The war had just begun. Back on Earth, the council watched in fear. One whispered, "He remembers." Another said, "He will return to full power." The oldest one, glowing faintly, nodded. "Then we must prepare." "Prepare for what?" One asked. The answer was simple. "Prepare for humanity." David King stood in the dark control room of the moon base. The ancient throne behind him still glowed with blue light. His eyes had stopped glowing now, but the power, it hadn't left him. He could feel it, in his skin, in his blood, deep in his bones. He was no longer just human. And everyone knew it. Agent Naya watched him from a distance. She had trusted him once, even liked him. But now, she didn't know how to feel. He had stopped the alien soldiers without touching them. He had taken control of ancient technology with just his mind. He didn't need weapons. He was the weapon, and that scared her. Back at the Earth base, security was increased. Cameras, guards, even orbital drones. David had saved them, but now everyone whispered behind his back, "Is he still human? What if he turns on us? We can't stop him if he does." David heard their thoughts, not because they said them out loud, but because he could feel them. His mind had changed. Now he could sense emotions, thoughts, even memories. If he focused hard enough, he didn't mean to read them. But they were loud, especially fear. Later that night, David sat alone in a dark room. No guards, no doctors. Just silence. Veda entered quietly, the alien who once feared him. Now, Veda looked calm. "They fear you now," Veda said. David didn't respond. "They should," Veda continued. "You're becoming what you were created to be." "I didn't ask for this," David said softly. "I know," Veda said. "But power doesn't wait for permission." David turned his head. "Tell me the truth. Am I dangerous?" Veda paused. "Yes, you're the most dangerous thing in this galaxy." David closed his eyes. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Meanwhile, deep in space, a massive alien fleet floated in the darkness. It was not from the Galactic Council. It was older, forgotten. A species that had once fought the humans in the Great War. They called themselves the K-RETH. Their leader, a pale creature with black armor and no eyes, stood in front of a large screen. "The Mindbreaker has returned," he said. "We failed to kill them last time. We will not fail again. Prepare the planet killer." An enormous ship began to move, big enough to block out a sun. Their target, Earth. Back on Earth, David started noticing more changes. He could move objects with his mind, small things at first. A cup, a chair. Then heavier things, doors, metal crates, even vehicles. He could hear whispers across rooms, even when no one spoke. He started dreaming while awake. Memories from a past he had never lived. Or maybe he had long ago. One night, while sitting in the lab, a scientist accidentally dropped a scalpel. David caught it. Without moving. It floated in the air, then gently dropped into the man's hand. Everyone in the room froze. David looked around. "I'm not trying to scare anyone." No one answered. Later, Naya met with top military leaders. They spoke in secret. "He's too powerful. We can't control him. Should we neutralize him?" Naya stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "He's not the enemy, not yet." Back in the moon base, David found a new chamber. It was hidden behind a false wall. The door opened only when he touched it. Inside was a large black mirror, tall as the ceiling. It wasn't glass. It was made of some unknown material. As David approached it, the mirror changed. It showed him not his reflection, but his true form. A tall figure in dark armor, glowing blue eyes, a crown of light. His body crackled with energy. Stars moved behind him. Planets burned in his hands. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory. A voice echoed from the mirror. "You were the last protector. The final design, the one who stood when all others fell." David whispered, "Who built me?" The mirror didn't answer. Outside the chamber, Veda watched. He had seen this place before, during the last war. He whispered to himself, "He's almost complete." Back on Earth, strange signals began to appear in the sky. A long wave of energy passed through the solar system. Satellites blinked out. Space station shut down. One scientist screamed, "Something massive is coming." In the command room, Naya's team picked up a shape, large, slow, and terrifying, entering the edge of the system. They zoomed in. A ship the size of a moon. Veda stared at the screen. "Kareth, I thought they were dead." "There." "Not," David said from the corner. Everyone turned. No one had seen him enter. "They've come to finish what they started." Panic filled the room. "What do we do? Earth can't fight this. They'll wipe us out in minutes." David stepped forward. "You're not alone." Naya frowned. "You're saying you can stop that thing?" David nodded. Veda added, "He's the only one who can." In a secret underground hangar, David entered a new chamber, one he had seen in his visions. Inside was a suit, not armor. Not metal. It was living. The Mindbreaker suit. David touched it, and it flowed over him like water. It merged with his skin, his bones, his thoughts. It didn't just protect him. It became him. The lights dimmed. The ground trembled when David opened his eyes. They burned bright blue. He spoke only one word: ready. The Kareth ship entered Earth orbit. Skies turned black. Oceans began to shake. The alien leader gave the order: fire. But before they could, David appeared in space. Alone. No ship, no shield, just him. The Kareth laughed. "One man? This is their hero?" David raised his hand. Space cracked. Time slowed. He moved like lightning, faster than light, punching through shields, tearing through steel with his mind. In 10 seconds, half their weapons were gone. In 30 seconds, their engines were destroyed. In 1 minute, the Kareth leader stood alone on the command deck. David floated in front of him. "You should have stayed forgotten," David said. The alien roared and charged. David didn't move. With a thought, the alien's armor shattered. The air turned to fire. David whispered, "I protect what is mine." And then, silence. Back on Earth, the people watched as the massive Kareth ship broke apart and disappeared into nothing. David returned, floating down from the sky like a ghost. Naya stood waiting. "You saved us." David nodded. "This time." She looked into his glowing eyes. "And next time?" David looked at the stars. "Keep coming, and I'll keep standing." That night, Veda spoke to David one last time. "You've become what they feared." David replied, "No, I've become what they needed." "Then why are they still afraid?" Veda asked. David didn't answer, but he already knew. They were afraid. Because he was no longer one of them. The stars above Earth were calm again. But deep inside David King's mind, nothing was calm. Since the battle with the Kareth, strange things were happening to him. He had won. But something else had woken up inside him. Scene 1. The dreams that wouldn't stop. Every time David closed his eyes, he saw places he had never been. Massive cities made of floating stone, oceans of light, and skies full of twin suns. He saw wars between gods and machines. He saw people who looked like humans, but with glowing marks on their skin, and eyes like stars. And in those dreams, he was there, leading them, commanding them, killing, saving, conquering. But when he woke up, he always whispered the same thing: "These memories are not mine." Scene 2. Back on Earth base. The DNA revelation. In a cold lab deep underground, Dr. Miles stared at the results of David's latest test. His DNA was impossible. Part human, part something else, something not from this galaxy. Agent Naya entered the room. "Well?" she asked. Miles looked up, stunned. "David's DNA shows signs of genetic engineering. From a type of science we don't understand." "Meaning?" "He's not fully human. He was built." "By who?" "I don't know. But he's older than any records we have. Older than Earth itself." Scene 3. David and the Mirror of Origins inside the ancient moon base. David returned to the black mirror. It no longer showed his reflection. Now, It showed his creators, tall beings, faceless, robed in light, standing around a glowing pod. Inside the pod, a baby. David watched, heart racing. He whispered, "Is that me?" A voice echoed from the mirror. "You were made for war, but born with choice. You were given power, but you slept to protect life. Now, you are awake again." David stepped back. His hands were shaking. He looked at Veda, who had followed him. "Why would they create me? Just to fight?" Veda spoke slowly. "No, not to fight. To end the fighting. Forever." Scene 4. The signal from the past. Suddenly, Earth's satellites picked up a signal. A repeating sound pattern, pulsing from deep space. The message translated into only one line. "To the one who remembers, we are waiting." The signal came from a small dead planet near the edge of the galaxy. Veda's eyes widened. "It's them." Naya frowned. "Who?" "The architects," Veda said. "The ones who made David." Scene 5. Mission to the forgotten planet. Within hours, a stealth ship was prepared. David, Naya, and Veda launched toward the signal's location. The journey took less than an hour using the old moon-based tech. They landed on a dead gray world. No life, no sound, but beneath the surface, they found an underground hall made of black stone. David walked forward alone. The lights turned on as he stepped. Hologram appeared, one of the robed architects. It spoke. "Welcome, prototype. 1009, you are the last mindbreaker, the final gatekeeper. Do you wish to recover your lost memories?" David hesitated. He looked at Naya. She said nothing, just nodded. He stepped forward and touched the glowing circle. Scene 6. Full memory unlocked. David fell to his knees. His mind exploded with visions. He saw everything. The beginning of the First War. The creation of the Mindbreakers, 12 of them. Each one powerful enough to reshape reality. Each one made from pieces of alien and human DNA, mixed with dark energy from the center of the galaxy. He saw himself, X09, the youngest, the most powerful, the one they feared even among their own. He saw his own team turn on him, afraid of what he could become. He saw himself fight them and win. He didn't just kill gods. He erased them. Scene 7. The choice to forget. Then he saw something else. David had once stood before a council of peaceful species. He had laid down his weapon. He had asked to be put to sleep, to be reborn as a human, to never remember what he had done. They agreed. His memories were locked, his powers sealed, his new name given. David King, and Earth became his cradle. Scene 8. Back to the present. David opened his eyes. His body glowed faintly, his skin, his bones, even his breath. Naya stepped back. Veda whispered, "He remembers everything." David stood slowly. "I didn't want this. I chose peace." "But peace has ended," Veda said. David clenched his fists. "I won't become what I was." "You may not have a choice," Veda replied. Scene 9. The coming of the Second War. Back in deep space, another fleet moved. The Galactic Council had seen the signal too. And now they knew. David had awakened fully. They didn't plan to wait. They would attack Earth first. Their ships, thousands of them, began to jump across space. Earth wouldn't face them alone, because David was no longer hiding. Scene 10. David's speech to humanity. Back at the Earth base, David stood before a camera, speaking to the leaders of the world. "I'm not just a man. I was made long ago, in a war your history doesn't remember. I didn't ask for this. I chose to forget. But now, I remember everything. There is a new war coming, and this time, I fight for Earth." The stars were no longer silent. Far across the galaxy, thousands of ships moved through the void, sleek, fast, and deadly. They belonged to the Galactic Council, once peaceful, now terrified. Their target, Earth. Why? Because David King remembered everything. Scene 1. Earth prepares for war at the Earth Defense Command, sirens wailed. World leaders, military officers, and scientists stared at one screen. A red dot was blinking that the fleet was coming, 72 hours away. Naya stood near David, her face pale but calm. "They're afraid of you," she said. David replied. "I know. You didn't do anything wrong," she whispered. "They think I will," he said, "because they know what I was." Veda, standing behind them, added, "They want to erase history, just like they erased your people." David looked out the window. Then, "I'll show them that history still fights back." Scene 2. The Council's true motive on the lead ship of the Council fleet. The High Speaker addressed his generals. "We told the galaxy Earth was a threat, but the truth is worse," he said. "The human named David King is a mindbreaker, a weapon we failed to destroy." Another general spoke. "He hasn't attacked us. Should we negotiate?" "No," the speaker replied coldly. "He remembers the old war. If he tells others the truth, the galaxy may rise again." The others stayed silent. The speaker gave the final order. "We end him, and if Earth burns, so be it." Scene 3. David's plan back at the moon base. David stood before a hologram of the Council fleet. "They outnumber us 1,000 to 1, Naya said. "They have better weapons, better ships," said Veda. David didn't blink. "But they don't have me." Everyone went quiet. David turned to Naya. "I need your help. Not to fight, to spread the truth." "To who?" she asked. "To the rest of the galaxy," David said. "They don't know what's coming. They don't know what I remember." Scene 4. Broadcast to the galaxy, an ancient beacon was hidden deep under Antarctica, a relic from the first human empire. David activated it. The signal went across the stars. His voice echoed through thousands of systems. "My name is David King. I was once called X09, a mindbreaker, a defender, a destroyer. They erased my kind because they feared us, but we chose peace. Now they come to kill me, not because I've harmed them, but because I remember. You deserve the truth. You deserve to choose your side." Scene 5. The galaxy reacts on dozens of planets. People stopped. On warships, alien soldiers turned to their screens. On distant moons, scientists replayed the message. For the first time in centuries, the name Mindbreaker was spoken. Again, not as a curse, but as a warning. And a hope. A whisper grew across the stars. He's back. The human god. The war never ended. And on many worlds, citizens began to question the Council. Scene 6. Awakening Earth's lost weapons, with only 2 days left. David opened the final chamber beneath the moon base. Inside were sleeping machines, built during the first human empire. Massive war drones, floating tanks, living armor suits. David placed his hand on a glowing panel. "Awaken." Lights turned on. The floor shook, one by one. Earth's ancient weapons powered up, waiting for their master's command. Scene 7. Preparing for the final stand across Earth. The world united for the first time. Old enemies became allies. Nations stopped arguing. Ships were built. Bases were raised into orbit. And in the sky above Earth, David floated alone, eyes glowing, watching the stars. Veda flew beside him in a small ship. "You don't look scared," he said. "I've lived through this once," David said. "But this time, I'm fighting for something real. For Earth." David shook his head. "For choice." Scene 8. The Council arrived. 72 hours passed. And then, the sky broke. Thousands of ships appeared at once, like shadows, blotting out the stars. They didn't send warnings. They just opened fire. The war began. Scene 9. Battle over Earth. Laser beams lit up the black sky. Missiles screamed. Earth's defenses fought back, but the enemy was too many, too fast, too strong. Within minutes, Earth's orbit was burning. One ship after another fell. But then, he came. David streaked through space like a comet. He tore through enemy ships. With his mind, he redirected missiles with a glance. He moved faster than light, warping reality around him. Enemy soldiers screamed as he passed. They didn't see a man. They saw a myth. Alive. Scene 10. The mind war suddenly. Everything went still. David stopped moving. In his mind, he was pulled into another space, a mental battlefield. There. He stood before a dark version of himself, cold, merciless, wearing armor that dripped with blood. You were born to end worlds, the dark self said. You can't hide behind peace forever. Let me take control. Let's finish them. All. David clenched his fists. No, you'll lose without me. I'd rather die a man than live as a god without mercy. The shadow screamed, but David stood firm, and the darkness shattered. Scene 11. The turning point back in real space. David's body glowed white-hot. He released a shockwave so powerful that half the enemy fleet shut down. But instead of killing the rest, David sent a message. Leave or stay and be destroyed. Thousands of ships turned around. Others fired again. David raised his hand. One thought, and they vanished. Not dead. Just gone. Sent to another galaxy. Naya, watching from Earth, whispered, he could have killed them all. But he didn't. Scene 12. The aftermath. The Council's fleet was broken. Its command ship fled. Across the galaxy, people cheered. The war was over, not because the Council surrendered, but because one man refused to become a monster again. Scene 13. Quiet after the storm. David returned to Earth. He stood alone in a field. The stars above were peaceful again. Naya approached. You did it. David shook his head. No, we did it. But what now? She asked. David looked at the sky. They'll keep coming. Others will rise. Truth scares people. And you? David smiled softly. I'll be here. Not as a god. Not as a weapon. He looked at his hands, once glowing, now still, but as a man who remembers. After the great war above Earth, the sky was finally quiet. People returned to their cities. Families hugged each other. News anchors called it the day the stars changed. And in the middle of it all stood David King, the man who had once been a weapon and had chosen to become human again, or so he thought. Scene 1. Whispers in the dark. David sat alone at night in a forest outside the moon base. Birds chirped. Leaves rustled. For the first time, Earth felt like Earth again. But then, he heard a voice. You were not the only one. David stood up, looking around. The voice wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was something older. The voice came again, inside his mind this time. The ones who made you left something behind. Scene 2. Strange signal from Saturn's shadow back at Earth Command. A deep space sensor beeped for the first time in 6,000 years. A faint signal was coming from the dark side of Saturn, from a moon called Hyperion. Not just a signal, a pattern. Old code, human-looking, but far older than Earth's civilization. Dr. Miles analyzed it. His face went pale. This coding is similar to David's DNA structure, he whispered. Whoever sent this made him. Agent Naya looked at David. You said they were gone. All dead. David's voice was low. So did I. Scene 3. The journey to Hyperion. A stealth ship was launched. David, Naya and Veda boarded it and flew to the outer edge of the solar system. As they neared Hyperion, the signal grew louder, like a heartbeat. Then they saw it. Not a base, not a city. A ship, half buried under the moon's frozen surface. Huge, silent, still active. David felt cold. I've seen this before. In my dreams. Scene 4. The ghost ship. They entered the ancient ship through a tunnel in the ice. The walls were black metal, pulsing softly with blue light. David walked ahead, drawn toward the center. Naya whispered, Is this a ship from your creators? No, David said. This was one of their last creations. A library, a lab, and maybe, he stopped, a prison. Suddenly, lights turned on. A hologram appeared, a tall, faceless figure in white robes. Not a recording, but a guardian AI. Welcome, X09. You were not expected to survive. The others were lost. You are the last, David asked. Who sent the signal? The eye answered, not me. One of them is awake. Scene 5. The survivor, the AI, led them deep into the ship, past frozen tanks, memory cores, and chambers filled with machines David couldn't recognize. Finally, they reached a stasis pod. Inside it floated a figure, not quite human, not quite alien. Skin like crystal, eyes closed, markings across its body that glowed faintly. The AI said, "This is prototype X03, the strategist, your brother." David's heart skipped a beat. He survived? Yes, he has been in stasis for 90,000 years. Until your awakening triggered his pod. Veda stepped forward, shocked. I thought all the mindbreakers were destroyed. David whispered. So did I. Scene 6. Waking the strategist against protocol. David placed his hand on the stasis pod. The glow pulsed faster. Then, with a hiss, the pod opened. X03 floated gently to the floor, his eyes slowly opening. They were silver, not blue. He looked at David and smiled. You're late, little brother. David was frozen in place. You remember me? Of course, X03 said. I watched over your sleep before I went into mine. Why now? Because they're coming back. David's eyes narrowed. Who? The ones who built us. Scene 7. Truth of the Architect's X3 sat in the main chamber as the ship's systems lit up. He spoke calmly. Our creators were not gods. They were frightened. The galaxy was collapsing. So they made us, not to protect others, but to protect their legacy. We were not soldiers, he continued. We were keys, living passcodes. If something wiped them out, we could restart civilization. Naya asked, restart it how? Not Earth style, X03 said. Their style. David stood quietly. They didn't make us to defend. They made us to rule. Scene 8. Divide among brothers. That night, in the ship's dark hallway, David and X03 stood alone. I don't want to be a ruler, David said. X03 looked at him with glowing eyes. You've already become one. You saved Earth. You made the stars fear you. I chose peace. You chose delay, X03 replied. But what will you do when the next enemy comes? David stared at the stars. We fight if we must, but not like them. X03 nodded slowly. Then one day we may be enemies. Scene 9. The Return. To Earth, David, Naya, and Veda returned to Earth with X03. The world celebrated their hero's return. Unaware that another god had awakened beside him, Dr. Miles warned Naya quietly. We have two now. What if they disagree? Naya said nothing, but in her heart, she already knew the answer. Scene 10. The final memory unlocked that night. David lay alone in his room. His dreams were different now. Not wars, not stars, but blue eyes staring back at him. A woman, a child, a home, a life he had once lived before he was turned into a weapon. A voice whispered in the dream, you are not just what they made, you are what you choose. David opened his eyes. And for the first time, he felt truly human. They thought the war was over. They thought remembering the past was enough. But David King now knew the real war hadn't started yet, because the creators of the Mindbreakers were not only still alive, they were waiting. And now, they were ready to reclaim their creation. Scene 1. A tear in the sky. 1 month after the battle above Earth, the stars began to change. Astronomers saw it first, a strange black tear in space, slowly opening near the edge of the solar system. It was not a wormhole, not a portal. It was a door, and something was coming through. Scene 2. The creators returned. The door opened, but no ships came through. Instead, a beam of silver light shot toward Earth, faster than anything seen before. It hit the ground in the Sahara Desert. When David, Naya, Veda, and XO3 arrived, they found a being of pure light waiting. No face, no voice, but its thoughts filled every mind at once. We have come to reclaim what was locked. Return the codes, mindbreakers, or face deletion. Scene 3. The meaning of the final lock. Back at the moon base, David opened an old file buried deep inside the AI archives. It was titled Final Lock. It explained everything. The mindbreakers were not just weapons. They were locks sealing away the knowledge, weapons, and power of the first civilization. If all mindbreakers were destroyed, the lock would stay shut forever. But if even 2 survived, it could be opened again. David turned to XO3. This is why they let us live. XO3 nodded. They don't want us. They want the knowledge behind. US. Power that can destroy galaxies. Naya frowned. What's behind the lock? Veda answered softly. A weapon that can remake reality. Scene 4. The choice. David sat alone in the moon base, staring at Earth. From the glass window, he could feel it. The pressure, the pull. The code inside him waking up. He could open the final lock if he wanted to, but once it opened, there would be no going back. XO3 entered behind him. They'll come in force now, he said. I know, David replied. You still believe in peace? I believe in choice. Then choose, XO3 said. Do we run? Or do we unlock what they fear? David turned, his voice steady. We protect Earth, and we don't open the lock. Scene 5. The invasion begins. The creators didn't wait. Massive structures began forming near the black tier, made of light and shadow, bending space around them. The Earth shook as pulses of anti-energy hit the atmosphere. Electricity failed. Satellites dropped. The sky turned gray. From the orbital telescope, Noah saw them. Thousands of living machines crawling toward Earth. Not ships, not soldiers, but harvesters designed to tear apart planets. Scene 6. Earth's last stand. David sent one message to Earth. They don't want war. They want me. I'm going to them. The people of Earth begged him not to go, but David knew this wasn't their war to fight. It was his. He put on the mindbreaker armor. One last time. It felt lighter now. As if it knew this was the end. Scene 7. Into the black door. David and XO3 flew toward the black tier. As they entered, the light disappeared. They were inside a void. No time. No gravity. At the center was a sphere, the core of memory, the true source of all mindbreaker power. Floating before it were 3 beings, the architects. The creators. Return your code, they said. David replied. No. You cannot win. I'm not here to win, David said. I'm here to finish what you started. Then he touched the core. Scene 8. The final lock unlocks itself. The core scanned him. XO9 confirmed. Lock status active. Second signature required. XO3 stepped forward. For a moment, David feared he'd betray him, but instead, XO3 placed his hand on the core and overloaded it. Lock sequence broken manually. Warning. Consequences irreversible. The creators screamed in ThoughtSpeak. You fools. You've opened the gate. XO3 smiled. No, we've destroyed the key. Scene 9. Collapse of the core. The core began to crack. Reality bent. Stars screamed. The architects tried to flee, but David held them in place with raw mind force. You made us to lock your sins away, he said. But now, we bury you with them. He and XO3 released all remaining energy, destroying the core, the lock, and the creators in a burst of white light. And then, silence. Scene 10. David's final message. Naya sat at the Earth Command Center. A message arrived. David's voice. Broken, but calm. It's done. They're gone. The lock will never open again. Earth is free. I don't know if I'll make it back. But tell them, I remembered, and I chose peace. Scene 11. 1 year later, Earth rebuilt. Stars were quiet. Statues of David were raised across cities, but no one knew where he went. Some say he died in the void. Others say he still watches from the moon. Some believe he became part of the stars. Naya believed something else. One night, standing alone, she whispered, "You're still out there." Not as a god, but as a man. And behind her, a shadow flickered, then vanished into the sky. Final words. He was built to end galaxies. He chose to protect one. He was the final lock, and he chose to never open again.